Okay, let's jump right into this explainer with a question that honestly just completely boggles the mind. Have you ever wondered why a staggering 92% of New Year's resolutions just fall apart? Or why 90% of business goals completely fail to cross the finish line? I mean, we spend so much time planning, making these elaborate lists, and setting our sights on the future, yet the failure rate is just astronomical. It's like we're setting ourselves up to lose. So let's dig into the research and figure out exactly what's going wrong. What's really fascinating here is this data from Leadership IQ. When they surveyed thousands of workers, get this, only 15% agreed that their goals actually help them achieve great things. That leaves a massive, glaring 85% motivational gap. Just think about that. Why is that gap so huge? Well, it's because most professionally set goals generate absolutely zero emotional pull. Sure, they look fantastic on a spreadsheet, but they do literally nothing to get you out of bed in the morning. So welcome to our explainer on the architecture of achievement. Today, we're going to explore how to build a pyramid of achievement together. We are completely rebuilding how you approach goal setting, moving all the way from the deepest foundation of your personal values right up to the gritty, everyday reality of daily execution. Here is the roadmap for our explainer today. We'll hit 1, the goal failure epidemic. 2, the value goal alignment foundation. 3, smart versus hard goals. 4, the motivation structure bridge. 5, outcome versus process goals. And finally, 6, the 1-3 ratio rule. Let's start right off with section 1, the goal failure epidemic, why results-only thinking burns us out. You know, our traditional models of focusing solely on outcomes are honestly fundamentally broken. Constantly obsessing over results, especially the ones you can't fully control, like market conditions or someone else's decisions, it actually triggers a fight or flight response in your brain. It creates this intense tunnel vision, it spikes your stress and anxiety, and ultimately it just destroys your motivation and ruins your mental health. This whole results-only environment leads to massive burnout because it totally removes the human connection to the work itself. And that brings us to section 2, the value goal alignment foundation, building the blueprint. I want you to think of personal values as your internal compass. They are the absolute fundamental beliefs guiding your behavior. When your career goals actually align with these deeply held values, stuff like autonomy, creativity, or serving others, it directly satisfies your psychological needs. And research shows that this alignment is literally your ultimate armor against burnout. It gives you competence and this really profound sense of purpose. I absolutely love this quote from executive coach and positive psychology expert Valerie Burton. She says, "Stop setting yourself up for stress, anxiety, and obligation, and set yourself up for joy, productivity, and freedom." She's challenging us to stop living under the weight of false guilt and all those shoulds. We've got to stop setting ourselves up for obligation and instead actively choose meaningful, value-driven pursuits over false urgencies. Bottom line, if your goals aren't bringing you joy and freedom, well, you're building on the wrong foundation. Moving right up our pyramid, let's tackle section 3, smart versus hard goals, clarity versus emotion. Okay, we really need to dismantle this corporate myth that SMART goals are the only tool you'll ever need. SMART goals, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound, they optimize beautifully for trackability and execution. But let's be real, they kind of lack a soul. On the flip side, we have hard goals, coined by Mark Murphy. That stands for heartfelt, animated, required, and difficult. Hard goals optimize for emotional connection. A goal can be perfectly smart, but if it doesn't pass that hard test, you are going to abandon it the very second things get tough. And there's this really fascinating philosophical conflict between these two frameworks. See, SMART tells you to make goals achievable, which honestly, unintentionally encourages you to just play it safe. But hard tells you to make goals difficult, demanding that you stretch way past your comfort zone. And decades of research actually back this up, showing that specific, difficult goals consistently drive much, much higher performance than easy, supposedly achievable ones. That brings us to section 4, the motivation structure bridge combining the frameworks.
So, what happens when your boss wants measurable metrics, but you desperately need some heartfelt motivation to keep working at 9 p.m. on a Tuesday? Well, you build a bridge. This three-step synthesis is incredibly powerful. Step 1, you start with hard to generate that emotional fuel. Step 2, you wrap smart structure around it so you can actually track your progress. And step 3, you keep both visible daily. The absolutely crucial point here is that by combining them, you eliminate the failure modes of both frameworks entirely. You get the unyielding drive of a hard goal paired perfectly with the precise map of a smart goal.
Now we zoom in to the micro level with Section 5, Outcome versus Process Goals, the destination versus the daily action. This right here is the difference between the destination we want and the daily bricklaying required to actually get there. Having a beautiful target is great, right? But hitting the mark requires what psychologists call implementation intentions. We have to transition smoothly from that abstract high-level planning into the gritty day-to-day reality of actually hitting that bullseye through execution. And here is a super vital distinction. Outcome goals, think getting a promotion or losing 20 pounds, these are long-term. And honestly, you have pretty low control over them. But process goals, like making 5 client calls a day or exercising for 30 minutes, those are short-term and you have 100% control over them. It's a real game changer. When you focus your energy on the actions you can absolutely control, your self-efficacy and resilience literally skyrocket. Let's move to our final pillar, Section 6, the 1-3 ratio rule, balancing your ambitions. This is a really concrete mathematical formula that connects your biggest vision directly to what you're doing tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Basically, for every one outcome goal you have, it must be rigorously supported by at least 3 controllable process goals. For example, if the outcome goal is doubling the client retention rate, that's a fantastic destination. But the vehicle to actually get there, those are the 3 process goals. Sending a weekly value newsletter, conducting monthly check-ins with your top 20%, and addressing feedback within 24 hours. And the best part? These are all entirely in your control. Now, to make sure you don't fall off the wagon, keep these rapid-fire troubleshooting tips in mind. First, focus 80% of your attention purely on the process, not the outcome. Schedule strict weekly reviews to stay on track, use simple habit trackers so you can visually see your wins, and most importantly, apply the 80% consistency rule. Listen to me on this one. Consistency absolutely trumps perfection. If you are hitting your process goals 80% of the time, the outcome is naturally going to take care of itself. I want to conclude with this provocative question, inspired by the brilliant Valerie Burton. Are you setting the right goals or just the obvious ones? Seriously, think about it. Are you chasing results that just look good on paper? Or are you actually building a life aligned with your deepest values? Take what you've learned from this explainer today. Combine that powerful emotional fuel of hard goals with the crystal clarity of smart goals. Focus on the daily process and go rethink your ambitions. You've got the architecture now. It's time to start building.